Hey guys, Spicy Potato here, and a lot of football fans are approaching one of the darkest times of the year. Fantasy football is coming to a close. As I'm recording this is the day before Week 17 of the 2016 NFL season is played, but I am going to be evaluating the top 10 wide receivers that you must draft come 2017. And also, I'm not including Week 17, obviously, in the stats that I list, because several receivers are not playing, either due to injury or being rested for the playoffs. So first at number 10 is Amari Cooper, 1,134 total yards and 4 touchdowns on the year. His average fantasy score is 8.7 points. Now, the first half of Amari Cooper's season was stellar. He had a lot of numbers, put up some great yardage, but his back half of the season has been disappointing, week after week, getting single-digit points. But he has an MVP caliber quarterback in Derek Carr throwing to him, so expect Cooper to be one of the best wide receivers next year. Number 9 is Dez Bryant, and now he has not been very good in yardage, only 796, but he has double the touchdowns of Amari Cooper. He had 8 touchdowns this season. He did not play for 3 weeks because of a knee injury, but his average fantasy score is 10.5 points. And while his yardage is disappointing, he is catching passes from a still developing Dak Prescott, who was already great this season, and he still managed to grab 8 touchdowns on the season, and expect him to be phenomenal next year as Dak Prescott continues to grow into a fantastic quarterback. So number 8 is Brandon Cooks. He caught 1,154 total yards and 8 touchdowns. The average fantasy score for him is 11.3 points. He has emerged as Drew Brees' favorite target, and he is an excellent deep threat due to his immense speed. Number 7 is Doug Baldwin, 1,084 total yards and 7 touchdowns. His average fantasy score is 9.9 points. And really, Doug Baldwin, the way that he plays depends on Russell Wilson, because in the earlier half of the season, Russell Wilson and that entire Seahawks offense was not clicking, but in the back half, they've started to really find it, and so has Doug Baldwin. He's really shined as the premier wide receiver in this offense. And Tyler Lockett, another one of Russell Wilson's favorite targets, he went down with a gruesome leg injury, so Doug Baldwin, expect him to be scoring a lot of points. Number 6, and this is really where the elite wide receivers start to come in, is Jordy Nelson, 1,191 total yards and 14 touchdowns. The average fantasy score for him is 12.9 points. And all I really got to say is that he's Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers' favorite target, you're going to be catching a lot of balls, a lot of touchdowns, you're going to be getting a lot of yards. It's going to be a great season for you. Number 5 is AJ Green. Now, he did not play for the last 7 weeks of the season, but he still managed to grab 964 total yards and 4 touchdowns. So you can see the season that he was on pace to have. His average fantasy score in the weeks that he did play is 12.9 points. And I expect AJ Green to rebound tremendously next year. Number 4 is Odell Beckham Jr., 1,323 total yards and 10 touchdowns. The average fantasy score for him is 12.5 points. He can grab pretty much anything that comes his way, one-handed, anything from Eli Manning, in an extremely pass-reliant offense that really has not much of a strong running game. Number 3 is Mike Evans, 1,256 total yards and 11 touchdowns. The average fantasy score for him is 12.5 points. And the main reason why he's ranked so high is because he is the most targeted wide receiver in the entire NFL. Because, seriously, there's no one else on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster that's going to be grabbing as many passes from Jameis Winston as Mike Evans. There just isn't. I can't see them doing that unless they pick up someone in the draft. But remember, this is before the draft, alright? So, draft Mike Evans. He will be very consistent. And number 1 and 2 have been the 2 best fantasy wide receivers for the past couple years now. Number 2 is Julio Jones, 1,313 total yards, but just 5 touchdowns. He didn't play for 2 weeks. Average fantasy score for him is 11.9 points. He plays in one of the most pass-heavy offenses, a very, very high-tempo offense, and is one of the most explosive and dynamic receivers in the entire NFL. And number 1 is Antonio Brown, 1,284 total yards and 12 touchdowns. Average fantasy score for him is 12.87 points. He plays in one of the league's best offenses, headed by Big Ben. There's been a lot of talk that Antonio Brown's value is going to go down due to the emergence of Le'Veon Bell and other wide receivers in the Steelers' offense, but he's Antonio Brown. I mean, if you're passing up on Antonio Brown or Julio Jones or any of these wide receivers, if you have the chance, you grab them. So that's my top 10 fantasy wide receiver list for 2017. If you guys liked, well, send a like and subscribe and keep watching more Spicy Potato. I will be uploading a top 10 fantasy running back and quarterback within the next day or two.